Thank you for joining Darien Library this Wednesday morning for a networking workshop for undergrads and new grads. This workshop will be hosted by Karen Elders and Elyse Spalding, co-founders of Launch Career Strategies and the Top of the Pile podcast. LCS is a career coaching and resume writing service focused on young professionals. After many successful years in the executive search and advertising industries, and as parents of college undergrads and grads, Karen and Elyse understand the career search process from a personal and a professional standpoint. Before we begin, I'd like to mention that programs at Darien Library are made possible by the annual Friends of the Library campaign. We thank you for your support to make programs like this, as well as our collections, available to the community. And now I'm going to turn this over to Karen and Elyse.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the Darien Library on this event. Elyse and I are really excited to be here. And thanks everybody who's jumped on. So just a quick note, two things. We're going to have, hopefully we'll have a little time for Q&A at the end. So as we go through the presentation, feel free to throw questions into the chat. And we'll check that out at the end and hopefully be able to answer any that maybe didn't get answered during the presentation. So, and there'll also be a poll that may pop up, just kind of asking where you are in your career search or where you are in your professional life, if you've entered it yet or maybe you haven't yet. So let's get started. So this is the first screen that will probably set the tone that this is why we're here. This statistic is clear why you need to do networking. 80% of jobs are found through networking. So, don't let that discourage you. I hope it inspires you to understand why this is important and, make those connections and keep them. Everyone is eager to help somebody young starting out. So take advantage of this time and use it wisely. And then the other thing I want to point out is that we're going to talk about, who to network with, how to find those people. But I think what's really important to keep in mind is that one of the most underutilized networks in your life is your very own peer network. So a lot of people find themselves feeling competitive and protective, and the information that they find about job openings, they keep to themselves and they don't share it. And don't share what you learn, compare notes. The hiring manager is going to hire who they're going to hire. So make sure that your peers within just a year or two ahead of you even are amazing sources of learning and networking. So I think that's a just basic thing to set up at the beginning. 3 types of networking contacts that you're going to find throughout your process. An advocate, someone that is maybe working at a target company and can help you navigate that company or maybe, put in a good word for you. An advisor, someone who just helps you learn in general about your career and professional life. General advice, cheerleader, mentor, and then an industry expert. So that's someone that, maybe can help you learn about an industry and in general, just map out your specific path. So 3 stages of networking process. Number 1 is preparing, getting your ducks in a row and making sure you're ready for the process. Then obviously making the actual connections. And then finally staying top of mind and keeping those connections. I think that is just so critical and super important. And then one other thing to add is that, time spent. I think, I don't have an exact percentage, but the vast majority of your time doing your job search should be doing networking efforts. And then a smaller amount of time should be, going through job boards and finding what's open and what might be an opportunity for you. Most people flip that and do it the wrong way. They spend all their time on job boards and not enough time networking. So that's how you're going to find out jobs that might not be posted. So as they call it, the hidden job market. So step 1, preparing. First impressions matter. So these are the main ways that you're going to present yourself professionally are your resume and your LinkedIn, and then your elevator pitch, which is knowing how to tell your story, into an organization. And this goes hand in hand with what you include in your cover letter. And then the other big piece is to be organized and consistent. So when we work with our clients, we give them an actual template on how to organize their job search and networking, and you can make your own, but just it's important. And along those lines, obviously, keep the majority of this job search process focused on the networking. This is pretty obvious. Just about every recruiter and hiring manager out there is using LinkedIn to find their talent, or evaluate their talent. So rest assured, the minute you apply to a job through a portal or however you apply, they will immediately go look at your LinkedIn if they're considering you at all. So that's really important. LinkedIn is a search engine. So behind LinkedIn sits an algorithm, and that algorithm is powered by keywords. So keywords are what it goes and finds to filter out and help recruiters and hiring managers find, who they want to speak to and maybe set up an interview, et cetera, or whether they're worthy of coming in. So we're going to talk about how to find and incorporate keywords during this session. So quickly, just a few basics here. Get a great photo. It's so important. The one of you on the beach or the one of you with your roommate that has half of her shoulder, it's not clear, doesn't cut it. Have a friend take a photo. Doesn't have to be professional, but put on a good top or a nice collared shirt, some decent lighting, and use like portrait mode on iPhone is a great way to get a decent photo, but it's really important to look immediately buttoned up. Your resume and your LinkedIn have to match. So your dates and your experiences on both of these really should line up. Your LinkedIn doesn't have to be everything that's on your resume. In fact, it shouldn't be. It should just be more high level. But your LinkedIn can also be a way to show more interesting color about yourself and just more detail about who you are and what you're bringing to the table. Okay, I talked about keywords. So just like your resume and your cover letter, you want to make sure to include these keywords that relate specifically to the company and the industry that you're targeting. So your soft skills, creative, organized, problem solver. Hard skills could be computer skills like Excel, PowerPoint, maybe Python if you're computer focused, computer science focused. And do your homework and find these words. This is so important. And sprinkle them in your LinkedIn and your resume cover letter. And the best place to find these are job descriptions and company websites. So company websites are going to give you more flavor on, the type of culture they have, the type of person they're looking for, the skills they want. So make sure you're looking at those. This next slide, this is actually a job description for an entry-level media planner at an ad agency. And it may be hard to see. I'm not sure if it's totally clear when I did the highlighting, but as you look at job descriptions and you look at many, many different ones, you're going to find commonalities. There's a lot of words you'll see repeated, but there are some that really stick out and you'll say to yourself, okay, that's where I align. Like on this one, I see a few times mentioned analytical, problem solver, but there's also Excel and PowerPoint, so if you have those skills, creative. And then the other thing I want to point out is when you look at a job description on LinkedIn, the middle section here is going to give you a little snapshot of that company and this job particularly, how many people have applied, etc. But right here where it's red circled, if there are connections to your college, it's going to show up right here. And so that should be a no-brainer. Those people should be people you're going to absolutely try to connect with and network with if this is obviously a job that that you're looking at. But try to find those commonalities when you're looking at job descriptions. Okay, so I am going to quickly switch over to my LinkedIn. So obviously this is, I'm just going to switch to the news feed. So this is a news feed driven program, just like any other social media program. So it is going to learn what you like, what your interests are, what your industry is. But if I go to my profile, a couple of things I want to make sure everybody knows is that the LinkedIn algorithm, when it goes to look for candidates, it's going to look in three main places first. So the first place it's going to look is in your headline. That's this right here. So it's your job title space, basically. Don't just put student at XYZ college. You have 220 characters to use in that space, so use it. It's great real estate. Take advantage of it. So, for example, maybe you are a marketing person and you're looking for an internship for next summer. So you want to say, instead of just student, you want to say, seeking social media and influencer marketing opportunities, summer 2021. Or I love to use this little straight up and down slash mark. It's a little more current, I'm told. So basically you could say something like, just to use those to throw in keywords that really hit on what you're looking for. So marketing / fashion / social media / seeking summer internships 21, or, economics and finance focused graduate seeking analyst role, investment banking. Use that space. It's really important. Second place that it's going to look, its algorithm, is the about section, the summary. That's right here. And a lot of people skip filling this out, but it's a great place. And I don't know off the top of my head how many characters that can use, but that is a great place to really give a peek into who you are, your skills. You can list out things, hard skills, soft skills, maybe a project you worked on that's really cool that relates to what you're looking to do next. So, you can also maybe put in there that you're a marathon runner and it shows you're hardworking and disciplined. Next place they're going to look at is skills. Now, you guys, if you go down here and you look at all your skills, you can add skills here. I mean, it's up to you to put the ones in that you feel align with yourself. But, as you're young, maybe many of you. So if you don't feel like you have a lot to put in there, you can put what you want that you feel you represent. But as you go along, people will also endorse you. And as you see, there's numbers next to some of these. So basically that is just that people have come to my profile, come across, and they've endorsed me. Usually it's coworkers that do this. I encourage people to do that for other people and pay it back. And you can ask someone to do it for you that works with you. And it could be a summer job. Doesn't matter. It just, if you are, a great communicator or leadership, whatever it is, it helps hire in recruiter searches if you have that more robust and filled out. Another quick thing to point out here, customize your URL. So when you open up a profile on LinkedIn, they generate an automatic, title for you. That's this right here. So it'll be your name plus a bunch of numbers and symbols and whatever. You can easily just hit the pencil here and put in your name and clean it up just to be a more, clear, more professional, just your name. And it just really gives you more of a buttoned up, detail oriented, more professional look that you are, taking the time to do things like that, just little things. Another thing I want to point out is that if you're in someone's profile and you're really interested in networking with them, one backdoor way that you can get in touch with them is through groups. So if you scroll down to interests at the bottom of their profile, you're going to find who they follow, influencers, companies they follow, and then groups and schools. Schools is typically their college if they follow or are part of a group. And then the groups can be their college, it can be anything. So I have some that are advertising related, and those, if you join that group, you do have to request. I mean, often they accept you. I mean, if you have something to do with that effort or whatever that theme is. And then you can directly reach out to anyone in that group because you're a group member. So that's a huge way to get in touch with somebody and say, hey, I noticed that you're part of XYZ group. I am too. I'd love to connect with you. It's a great way to kind of get in the sign door. So the last thing I'm going to do here is that really important is that you want to know how to find these people, right? So really important, let's just say you want to find all the alumni from your college that work at your top 5 target companies. Just easily put in, let's just say Amazon is a company you're trying to find people at, okay? It's going to come up, any company you put in there, it's going to say Amazon in people, in jobs, in company. You want to pick in people, okay? So when that comes up, then you're going to click all filters, and you're going to go over here, and you're going to learn how to do this, but you can put in first, second, and third connections, United States. And then here, this is where you're going to click on Amazon, but let's say, just for argument's sake, these are all companies you want to work at. You can add companies, maybe Nike, you want to work at a brand. If you want to work at Condé Nast in a publishing company, whatever it is, any industry, throw it in there. And then you're going to add your school. So let's put in, since we're in Connecticut here, let's put in University of Connecticut, okay? And you don't need to put the industry in because it's going to find it in general. And then you just hit show results. And so what it's going to bring up are people that work at those target companies and that went to your college. So that's just a great, simple place to start to find networking contacts. And believe me, if any college or any organization that you're part of, this is one way to slice and dice and find them. Another one I want to point out, people ask this all the time to us, can I reach out to HR on LinkedIn? My opinion is yes. If people have set themselves up on LinkedIn, they're fair game. And you need to be thoughtful about it. But one thing you can also do is you can put in this search bar. For example, if you're an undergrad, you can put in campus recruitment. Okay? Campus recruitment, and then hitting people. And then you can put in all filters. And again, put in just the companies that you're interested in. So let's just say, I'm just gonna, for argument's sake, click on these companies and then show results. So basically what this is showing you now is these are the people, campus recruitment. It could be, university recruitment. You can find out what those titles are. That is going to show you who the people are that are hiring the interns and who are hiring the entry-level roles. So it's a great way to show initiative and send them, try to connect. They may not respond, but try to connect and just say, hey, I recently applied to the XYZ internship or job at XYZ company. And, I really admire your mission to be sustainable business, whatever it is. You find something to say to them. And I'm really excited to hopefully, speak with your team. I think it shows initiative and it can set you apart. So they may not reply, but they will likely see it. And I think it just shows that you're really eager. So those are a few little tips and tricks on how to find people. And next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch it over to Elyse Spalding, and she's going to take you through some more important points. So let me just do this here.
Nice to meet everybody. And again, thanks for being part of our networking workshop. And I'm going to take it from here. So my part of the presentation really talks in a little bit more detail in terms of actually making those connections. So you've done all your prep work, you've gone onto LinkedIn, you're very prepared now to actually make those connections. So what you want to do is you want to, again, as Karen said, you're going to look at who the obvious ones are. The obvious people that you want to connect with are those that you have either direct relationships with or contacts with or somewhat indirect. So I'm going to go through some of these and give you an idea of who they might be. So a connection could be a neighbor whose sister or brother is a senior executive at one of your top companies. And that person could probably be your industry expert. We were talking about the 3 different types of people that can be connections for you. The other one is a friend, and Karen talked at length about that, who works at a company that you're interested in. And what's good about connecting with friends is, number one, they can let you know when a job is opened up. And number 2, they can be your advocate. So this would someone who could be your advocate, and they can actually kind of get you through the back door of that company and help you kind of navigate the HR team and people that work within the groups or a division that you want to be a part of. So those are really great connections. Could also be a college professor that's associated with your major. And another really good thing to do is connect with alumni. So alumni bulletins, I think, come out every quarter or twice a year for schools. Read those bulletins and look and try to find people that have kind of are in your desired industry, because those are fabulous people to connect with, because those people can be advisors to you. If they're in your industry and they're more senior and they've had many more years in the workforce, they can be great people for you to connect with, who can be, that advisor to you as you move forward with your career. And then there are the less obvious ones. And the less obvious ones are the ones that Karen actually talked about when she went through LinkedIn. First thing you can do is look at people who have joined groups that you're a part of, because when you send notes out to them, you can actually let them know that you're part of the same group and you want to connect with them based on having a common interest. That's number 1. You can also look and see, kind of go through LinkedIn and go through company websites and find people that might be part of your industry. Those are also good people to connect with. You can also, if you follow a podcast, go look on LinkedIn and see if you can find them on LinkedIn. That would also be a good person for you to connect with, or someone who's written articles about your desired industry and you want to connect with them. So there's a lot of different ways that you can find the less obvious people to connect with, but you always have to remember that you want to create some kind of commonality between you and the person you're connecting with. And lastly, as Karen mentioned, HR contacts, they are great people to connect with. They want to connect with you. So you should have absolutely no fear in sending them a note and telling them why you want to connect with them. So once you've done this homework, there we go. Once you've done the homework and you have all of your contacts and you're ready to connect with them, let me try to get to that next slide. Hold on a second. There we go. Okay. Once you've done your homework and you have a list of people you want to connect with, you should create a short templated note that can be easily customized. And the reason why you want to customize each of those messages to the individual people is people are much more likely to connect with you if you have some kind of commonality or some kind of similarity. So what you need to do is you need your note to be customized, because you want to customize it, number 1, but you also need to find that hook so that you can customize your note. So how do you find that hook? And we've gone through this a little bit in the, Karen has, and I have, prior, but how do you find that hook? You go through LinkedIn, you look at the person's profile. They might be in the same group that you've connected with or that you're a part of. They might have had the same major that you, or graduated with the same major that you're majoring in. Look and see what their volunteer work, in the about section that Karen talked about, a lot of people personalize that and make them, people that read that, they want them to understand kind of who they are and what they're all about. Sometimes they'll mention something about volunteer work or, as Karen said, running a marathon or been part of some nonprofit. If any of those things align with things that you've done, that's another great way to create that hook. Also look to see if they've posted anything on LinkedIn. And if you found that article interesting, you should like it, and you can use that as your hook to connect with that person. So number one, make sure you're clear and concise in your request, because you only have 300 characters, so you really want to use them wisely. And number two, what we've done is we've actually given you an example. Let me get there. I'm having a problem with this. Okay. We've given you an example of someone who actually has two common things that they wanted to address in the request to connect with them. So I'm going to read it to you. The first one is the person you're messaging has gone to the same university, number one. And the second thing is their career is very much in line with the path this person wants to pursue. So here we go. I'm going to read the note. Hi, John. I see that you're an alum from X university where I'm currently a junior. I'm actively researching internship opportunities for the summer of 2021. Your career is very much in line with the path I am hoping to pursue. Thank you in advance for accepting my request to connect. So that's a good note, because you've actually customized that template in order to create some kind of similarity between you and the person that you want to connect with on LinkedIn. So once they've connected, okay, now what do you do? All right, the first thing that you should do is you should write them a quick note. It doesn't have to be long. It's just, hi, John, thanks so much for connecting with me on LinkedIn. That's all you need to say. But then I would wait a couple of days, because the people that you're connecting with, where you're finding a kind of a commonality or similarity, those are the people that you want to actually hopefully have a conversation with and spend a few minutes on the phone. So in that message that you're going to wait a couple of days and then you're going to send another message, in that message, you want to be very specific in terms of what you want to discuss with them. Because remember, in that message, you're asking for advice or you're asking someone to be an advocate. You're not necessarily interviewing for a job or asking for a job. And that's a big difference in terms of what you want to communicate in that conversation. So you're looking for people that can either be, as I mentioned, an advocate or an advisor or someone that's an industry expert, because those are the kinds of people that are going to really be helpful to you as, number one, you launch your career, and number two, as you develop professionally and as you move through your career. So what we've done is we thought it would be helpful to, again, give you a couple of examples of different types of folks that you might want to connect with, where you can be very specific in your request. The first one is a target company or someone that's in a similar department of what you want to pursue. The second one is an industry expert. And the third one is someone whose career path you admire. So I'm going to go over those with you. Let's get to that. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is a target company and a department contact. Hi, John. I will be applying for an entry-level marketing role at XYZ company. I am eager to learn more about your department and the projects you're working on. Would you be willing to schedule a few minutes to speak with me and share a bit about your experience? So you're very specific there, because you're asking them to talk about their department and the projects that they're working on. So that's your specific request. This one is an industry expert contact. Again, hi, John. I've listened to several of your podcasts about the XYZ industry and always love hearing your insights. Would you be willing to schedule a few minutes to speak with me and share your perspective on where you feel the most opportunities lie for a new grad entering the business? So in this message, you're asking them to really share their perspective on where they feel the best opportunities lie for someone that's graduated from school. So again, you're very specific in your request. And the third one is someone who you admire their career path. Hi, John. John's getting a lot of messages here. I'm very interested in a career in the fashion merchandising industry, and I'm intrigued by your career path. I am making decisions on how to begin my own and would love to ask you a few questions about your professional trajectory. So again, you're asking a very specific question. You're asking them to talk about their professional career path and how they got to where they are. So those are three messages that you can send to people that you actually want to have a conversation with. And in those messages, you're being very, very specific in terms of what you're asking for in that short conversation you're requesting. If they agree to speak with you, and sometimes you're not going to get you're not going to get everybody to agree to speak with you, and don't get discouraged by that, because if you get 10% of the people to respond favorably, that's amazingly good. So just don't get discouraged, keep going, keep staying positive, and keep asking people to speak with you, because the more people that speak with you and are part of your network, really the more helpful they can be as you move forward with your career. So if they agree to speak with you, the first thing you need to do is to get their email address, because you want to send them an email invite so they can mark their calendar or when they've agreed to have a conversation with you. It's really important because you want to make sure they've marked it on their calendar. The second thing you need to do is you need to research and really prepare focused and smart questions. You're only going to have a short amount of time to speak with these people, so you want to make sure you've prepared really good questions. The second thing is you must be a really good listener. Let them talk. If you've asked them a question, let them answer it, and be very, very cognizant that you're not interrupting. The third thing, remember in the beginning where Karen talked about getting your elevator pitch in order? You're going to need at some point in that 15-minute conversation to speak about yourself. So you only should give yourself about 60 to 90 seconds to have that to go through your elevator pitch. So you need to practice it. You can practice it in front of a mirror or practice it in front of your parents, but just make sure that it's very succinct and that every sentence really means something, because you don't have a lot of time to talk about yourself. So you want to make sure that conversation really rolls off your tongue. So you're having the conversation, you're almost at the end, and you kind of want to close that 15-minute conversation. You want to thank them for their time. Make sure you thank them verbally for their time. And number two, you ask them every conversation that you have, ask them if there's anyone else that they can recommend that you can speak to that will help you through your career path. Number one, people like to help people. Certainly people that are young, they're very willing to help them and give them advice. So they will also be willing to provide some names to you. And some people will even be willing to connect you with someone else that they think might be helpful to you. So make sure you ask that question. The other thing, if you can, take notes during your conversation. If you don't take notes during the conversation, after you get off the phone, while it's still fresh in your mind, jot down what transpired in that conversation, and make sure you use that as part of that template or that organization chart that Karen spoke about, because you're going to want to refer back to that as time goes on. Next slide, follow up. It's very important, even if you followed up and thanked that person verbally in the phone call, you need to, within 24 hours after you have that phone call, to also send an email thank you note. You need to keep that note concise, but you can't just say, "Hi, John, thanks so much for your time. It was a pleasure speaking with you." You also need to include a couple of references from your conversation. So that's where your notes become really handy, and that's when you're going to want to use them. So make sure that you refer back to that conversation and include one or two references from the conversation that you can include in the note. Also, before you hit that send button, review your thank you note. It has to have 0 mistakes. Take a walk, get up from your desk, come back, read your note, ask someone else to read your note, get a second set of eyes, because sometimes you can't even see your own mistakes when you're writing something, because this note is really a reflection of who you are, and it actually can make or break how someone perceives you. So be very, very careful when you send that note that there are 0 errors. But, okay, that conversation and that note, it doesn't end there. You want to continue to have a relationship with certain people that you've established and connected with. So what we say is keep the faucet dripping. And you say to yourself, well, how often should I do that? I don't want to inundate someone. I don't want to be a nuisance. Well, use your judgment. And I think it will depend on the relationship that you've established with that person and the conversations that you've had with them, either 1 or 2, or how many you've had through your process. So we've given you a couple of ideas of what to do to continue to kind of keep that faucet dripping. First thing is, send a relevant note. You can send an article, you can send, something that you thought about in regards to the company where that person works, or the industry in where this person, or wherever this person, whatever industry that they're in. The other thing you can do is you can, reiterate something from the conversation that's personal. Maybe you're both interested in chess, so maybe there's an article that you found about chess that you want to share with them. So you can also send something that's personal, not necessarily that's something that's business related, but it's a way to continue to stay in touch. The other thing that we suggest is a no need to reply email. That's what we call it, a no need to reply email. Just wanted to keep you updated on my progress. This is where I am in my search, or this is what I've done recently. You just want to keep them updated so that you stay top of mind. Believe me, people will be so appreciative of the fact that you're keeping in touch with them. So don't be afraid to do it. Just be careful that you do it and don't inundate them. You want to do it in maybe once a quarter, maybe twice a year. It really just depends. But these are really nice ways to stay in touch with someone. Also, 2 other thoughts that I have when we're talking about connecting with people and staying in touch. If someone does make an intro for you and you've connected with that person, be sure to circle back and thank that person that made that intro. So often you make an introduction, or you make an introduction to someone, you have no idea whether that person ever connected with them or how that conversation went. And a person that's made that intro will be so happy that you let them know that you actually did make the intro and that you're thankful of that. So don't overlook that. That's a really important part of your process. Also, this is absolutely key. Once you've accepted a job and you have the list of people that you have been in touch with that have helped you through your journey, circle back and let all of those people know that you've accepted a job. You've got to thank them for their help, and you can at that point close that particular loop. But you're going to probably try and stay in touch with them as well, but you should close that particular loop. So just remember, networking is a skill that you hone over your entire career. And these are the people that you've connected with and have established relationships with. These are the folks that can bring so much value to you, both personally and professionally, as you grow your career. I can't emphasize that enough. So what we say, it can be hard to make the connections, and you've got to be disciplined about it, and you can't lose confidence. If someone doesn't respond to you, you just have to keep on going, and you know that there are going to be people that are willing to establish relationships with you. But if you don't continue to stay in touch with them, it's going to be very easy to lose them, and you don't want to lose them because they can really help you as you continue to grow your career. So Karen and I hope, this is the end of our presentation, at least the one that we wanted to stress with you in terms of networking. So we hope we're able to communicate the 3 key components of networking. Number 1, is preparing and making sure you have all your ducks in a row. Number two, once you do, then you focus on those two channels of potential business relationship. Really the obvious ones and the not so obvious ones, and then how to best and most effectively connect with them. And then lastly, you establish who you want those key relationships to be and stay top of mind with them. It's just so important that you continue to have those relationships. So I am now going to turn the presentation over to Karen. Let me just figure out how to do that. Did I do it? Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah,
and I'll let Karen take it from here.
Okay, awesome. I think one of the things I wanted to do is I'm going to have see if we can launch a poll. I meant to do this at the beginning, but if everyone could just fill in, where they are in the career search as far as well, it'll be pretty obvious, I think, on the poll. So if everyone can fill that out, that would be great. But we've got this slide up, and I want to just say a couple things. One, if you'd like to learn more about our coaching services, this is our website. It's listed here. And also, I'd love everyone to check out our podcast, which is called Top of the Pile. And it's all about young professionals in their careers. So we've had some awesome guests, and we have many more lined up for, really across all industries. We've got media, advertising, investment banking, renewable energy, entrepreneurship. So really encourage you to listen, and you can sign up on our website to get notices about the new episodes as they come out. This process doesn't really change no matter where you are in the career search process, but it's something that obviously the sooner you get into the habit of it and learning to do it, and keep in mind, I think what Elyse was just saying is so important. Two main things: make the majority of your job search spent networking, but also that the onus is on you to keep in touch, and don't get discouraged if people don't reply. I hear this constantly. They're like, well, I'm annoying them, and you're not. People are busy. As long as you're thoughtful and you're not, sending something every day to someone or even every few days, space it out, and it'll be fine. And it may take 5 tries to get someone to respond, but 99% of the chance it's just that they're busy. That's what the situation is. So one of the things I might add is a lot of people also ask, what is the it's called open to work. There's something on LinkedIn you can actually put around it shows up around your picture, and it says open to work with a green frame. And I'm sure you guys can figure out how to do that. If not, reach out to us and we'll help. But it lets recruiters know that you're open to work. So if you're an undergrad or a new grad, obviously you can put it. If you're working and looking to change jobs, you may not want to put it on your LinkedIn because it'll be obvious. But just know that there's also ways on LinkedIn to set up your settings so that you can message recruiters to let them know you're looking for a job without putting it right there on your profile page. Behind the scenes, it tells them, it sets up a signal to them, and it will not signal, it blocks your current company. So I think that's good for people to understand that they can do that, either very publicly or behind the scenes. So I find that's a question we get a lot. But so here's a question. How do you recommend to network during the pandemic? Is there anything you would do differently? I don't know, Elyse, if you have any thoughts on that. But
I would say that no, I would do it very similarly to what you're doing, what you would do if there was not a pandemic. The only difference is you won't be able to ask someone to, meet for coffee. That's probably not something you'll be able to do for a little while, but certainly, request, a 15-minute Zoom conversation or a phone call. I think everybody's very sensitive to the pandemic, and there are people that have lost their jobs as a result of the pandemic. So, I truly believe that people are more willing to accept people's requests for conversations, because it's a tough time. And everybody knows, as Karen said, people, do something nice to someone because it will pay you back. I think people realize that. And I would continue to take the same course of action. The only difference is you won't be able to necessarily meet someone in person right now.
Yeah, and the only thing I would add to that is that I think you do need to be ready to speak to what you did during COVID. What did you do? So if you graduated last year, or if you're still undergrad, or whatever your time is, I'm guessing most people who are listening to this type of advice are looking for a job. So if you are, you need to be able to speak to, what, I started volunteering locally. It doesn't have to be something earth shattering. It could be something local, but just show that, what, I'm really into marketing, and I started my own fashion blog, and I started to get some followers. It doesn't matter if you have this, crazy success. It's more of, do you have a story to speak to show that you did something and you didn't just sit around feeling down yourself, or maybe you're looking for a job in computer science or financial investment banking. I went on Coursera, or you can go to Google Garage, and those are places to take free classes, and you got a certificate, or you furthered your learning. So maybe last summer you took class, but I think that's the key too, is to really be able to speak to what you did during COVID, which is certainly a unique time to be looking for a job. And and the other thing I'll add is that people ask this question a lot. People lost their internships due to COVID. You're going to hear different opinions on this, but I think it's okay to put on your resume maybe a job that you were given, or an internship, and you lost it during COVID. I think it's okay to put that on your resume, or mention it and say, what, I lost that, but here's what I did instead during the time that I lost. So I think that's a good thing too.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Yeah, thanks everybody who came on.
Yep, looking forward to it. Our next one,